Hello, good people, and thank you so much for checking out my channel. I'm your girl, Keena, and this is a recap of Tyler Perry's Sisters, Season 4, Episode 16, and the title was Look Closely. So at the beginning of this episode, we're back at the scene with Sabrina and Danny. They're at the grocery store, and they had been shopping, and they noticed that there were two African ladies walking behind them, giggling and everything. And so Danny turned around and asked them what the hell was going on. Like, what are you fools laughing at? Like, what are y'all doing behind us walking and laughing? What's going on? So the ladies, they explained to Sabrina and Danny that Sabrina's in their local newspaper, that she's the one that that's showing in their newspaper as dating the prince of their country, and that maybe she's gonna be his wife. And they're like, Prince, what are you talking about? So they look at the lady's phone and they see that Badu, the guy that Sabrina had went on a date with, he's an actual prince in his country. So of course, Sabrina and Danny, they are very shocked by this news, and they were saying they had no idea and everything. And the ladies, they want to take a picture with Sabrina. She takes the picture with Danny. Danny's the one who takes pictures of Sabrina with the ladies, and Danny's telling her to go ahead and pose like a queen. Danny's so funny. I love her little sayings and everything, her lines. So the ladies leave, and Sabrina and Danny, they're standing there and they're in shock. And Danny's like, so you didn't Google him? You mean to tell me you didn't Google him? And Sabrina's like, no, I didn't Google him. I'm not that type of girl. But then she finally admits that she did Google him. Sabrina actually did Google him before. I guess maybe when she found out he had so much money in his bank account, because he had previously came to the bank, and that's when she was able to see in his account that he was like loaded, right? So she said she Googled him, but she didn't find any information on him. And so Danny was like, nothing at all. So Danny stands there and she goes on her phone and she starts Googling him, and she can't find anything. However, she does a search on the country that the ladies had spoke of, the African country. And once she did search for the country, that's when she indeed found that Badu is the prince in that country. So she was like, oh, Sabrina, you going to get your Meghan Markle on? I love her. Then she was saying that Badu was Black Panther and Eddie Murphy all wrapped in one. I mean, her lines are so hilarious to me. I was so tickled. I was like, okay, I love it, Tyler Perry. I love that part. All right. So Sabrina says that she doesn't know what she's going to do, and she's definitely not going to say anything to Badu about finding out he's a prince. She's going to just let him tell her, because he hadn't said anything to her about it. And so she also asked Danny not to say anything to the girls about it. I guess she don't want to, she don't want to hear all the talk about him being a prince and what she should do and things like that. So she don't want Karen and Andy to know about it at this moment. All right. So we also have Fatima still at the jailhouse. She's been released from jail, but she's there hoping that she can see Zach before she leaves. And Andy tells her that she's not going to be able to see Zach that day, that she's going to have to wait maybe until the next morning. And so not Danny, Fatima asks Andy to please reach out once again to Robin to see if maybe Robin can work harder on trying to get Zach out of there, or at least for her to see Zach. And so Andy steps to the side and she calls Robin, and Robin tells her that nothing's going to happen that day, that they're just going to have to wait and maybe hopefully the next day. And that he's still working on it. So with that, Andy suggests that Fatima just goes home and just get herself together, just go home or whatever. So that's how they leave that. Then we see Kevin and Maurice. Well, Maurice goes to the club and he's like in his little feminine attire with his big shades on, his blouse. And Kevin stumbles over to the table where Maurice is sitting, and Maurice is talking to the club. I think it's the club owner, and he's just sharing his emotions about Q being at his place, and that Kevin is the one who told Q he can stay there, and Q even gave his address to his probation officer, gave Maurice's address to the probation officer, and he can't leave at the moment because he's on house arrest, and even though Maurice don't want him there. And Maurice is attracted to Q, but he don't trust him because, Q had put a gun to Maurice and, robbed the bank. So he don't actually trust him. So then Kevin's, as I mentioned before, he stumbled over to the table. He's drunk. Kevin's always in his feelings. He's definitely in his feelings about Sabrina. Sabrina doesn't understand Kevin. I don't understand Kevin. Like, are you gay? You bisexual? What? So I guess he's in his feeling about Sabrina dating Badu, and he's told drunk, right? So that was that little scene with them, and I will recap about Kevin towards the end of this with his drunk tail. All right, so then we have Karen and Aaron. They're at her place. Of course, she's all emotional. She really wants Zach. She wants Zach back in her life. She don't know who her baby is for. And she's already shared this with Aaron, but Aaron's still there like a little puppy. He's so in love with Karen. He's promising not to go anywhere and that he's going to be there for her. And all in all, they end up doing a do on the couch. Could have left them out this week, Tyler Perry. We could have took a break from Karen and Aaron. All right, so we see Andy at her place, at her penthouse that Gary bought her. And so, of course, she doesn't trust crazy Gary. He's not to be trusted. So she's called over their friend from college who's now a stripper, but his side hustle is doing technical stuff. Love it. So he's over there, and I do apologize. I don't recall his name. He's a cute guy. But he comes over, and Andy asks him to sweep her place, to sweep it and make sure there's no type of spy equipment as far as bugs where Gary could be listening to her conversations, no type of videos anywhere where he may be recording her. Those things do happen. Yeah, I know. So anyway, she want to make sure that she's not being watched and stalked by stupid Gary. So while the guy is there sweeping the penthouse, Sabrina and Danny finally make it over. And when they get there, the main topic is Karen. They're concerned about Karen, and Danny shared with them about speaking to Karen before, and how Karen is just so gung-ho on getting Zach back. Her mind is set on Zach, but all the ladies agree that Zach has moved on with Fatima, and that Karen just needs to go on with her life and not even worry about Zach. And they all say they have not heard from Karen that day, and they're concerned about her. So they're like, once the stripper guy, who's doing the side hustle as the tech guy, finished sweeping the apartment, they will go to Karen's. All right. So the stripper guy, who's part-time as the tech guy, comes and he lets Andy know that he did not find anything, that the penthouse is clean. So Andy, she gets the call from Robin. I believe he calls her. So Robin calls her, and they're talking, and he wants to see her. And so what she tells him that she has to do something with her girls, but he can come over later. I guess she's feeling comfortable now that she knows that the apartment isn't wired or tap or anything like that. So she feels comfortable to have other males to come over. So she invites Robin to come over and spend the night with her. So I guess we'll see that later in the next episode, what happens with them. We know that Robin can be a little freaky freak. So anyway, what's next? Oh, so once Robin and Andy gets off the phone, we see that Robin's still at the law firm. He goes over to Hayden's office because Hayden's still at work. And guys, Hayden is all black and blue because remember, the previous episode, Zach went to that office and he tore Hayden's ass up. Like, he beat him to a pulp. So he's sitting there looking like worse than a bruised tomato. If I can't think of another description for it. Like, he is beat to a pulp, but he's still there working, because he's so arrogant. He is beyond narcissistic to the maximum, infinity and beyond. So he's there at work and everything. Robin goes over to the office asking how he's doing, and he was like, huh? And he was like, Robin was pointing at his face, like, how you doing? You just got your ass whooped. Pretty much that's what he was saying. And so Hayden's like, oh, this is nothing. No, I'm good. I'm good. Dude, you probably aching. He's just too much. So Robin was like, oh, there's just been a lot of crazy stuff going on. Just like, it's a lot of craziness. And so Hayden's like, yeah, yeah, with Fatima. And so Hayden started talking about Fatima, how Fatima is just so infatuated with him. And she can't deal with the fact that Hayden's moved on to white women. He said he don't fool with black bitches anymore. And he only deal with white women now. Because the black women are crazy. He's retarded. He's just crazy with the things he's saying. It's funny. And so he tells Robin that Fatima came over to his place and that she had a bat and she went berserk. But of course, Andy's already filled Robin in with majority of what was going on with Hayden and Fatima. So he already knows that Hayden is exaggerating about the things that's been going on with Fatima. He's basically lying. So and he just continues to say about how Fatima is after him and he's not dealing with her anymore and he's been trying to get away from her. And he's even telling, oh, and then he gets to the part, Hayden gets to the part where he asks Robin what's up with him and Andy, and that isn't he seeing Andy? And Robin asks him why would he think that, where is he getting that from? And so Hayden said that he always see him talking to Andy and being in her office and all that. And so Robin tries to play it off saying that he's gay and that he's only interested in Andy for pretty much her style. He was like he loved her shoes, like the shoes that she wears or whatever. And Robin tells Hayden that Hayden is more of his speed, that he's more interested in Hayden. And so his entire look when Robin said that he was gay was just too funny. He was like, no, not me. I don't go that way. Not me, guy. Not me. And so Robin started giving him little googly eyes and everything, and it's like really making Hayden uncomfortable. It's just so hilarious. I love it. And so that's when Hayden's ready for Robin to just like go get out of his office. And so Robin's like, yeah, I'm about to go, and he asked Hayden if he was sure that he wasn't interested pretty much. And Hayden was like, no, no. And Hayden, they're looking at each other. And Hayden's looking at him like, you need to get the hell on. But Robin's looking at him like, are you sure? And so Hayden's like, you still sitting there? And he was like, yeah, I'm about to go. And, Robin's still looking at him, giving him the googly eyes. And it really makes Hayden so uncomfortable. It was so hilarious, so funny. So we'll see how long Robin continues to play this game with Hayden to try to make Hayden think that he's gay or whatever. And I'm quite sure Hayden's going to get on the phone and call Gary and let Gary know, hey, this dude is gay. I don't think he's here for Andy. That's if he's truly buying it. So who knows? But it was a funny scene. Very, very funny. All right. So next we have Kevin drunk behind. As I mentioned earlier, he was at the club when Maurice was there and he was already towed up. So now Kevin's made it back to the apartment and he stumbles in. He's a drunk mess. And Q is sitting on the sofa. Q can't go nowhere. He's on house arrest and he's parked at Maurice's apartment that Kevin told him it was okay to stay. So Kevin comes in. He's drunk. He ends up sitting on the sofa beside Q. They start talking. Kevin shares his feelings about Sabrina and saying Sabrina is crazy, thinking that he's gay and all that. And Q was like, well, what would make her think that? And so Kevin shares with Q about the time that him and Sabrina were intimate and how he asked Sabrina to use her toy on him. And so Q was like, wow, you let her do that, so you are gay. And he was like, no, I'm not gay. It just felt good. Pretty much that's what he said. And so Q was like, no, if you do something like that, then you must be gay. And then Q said that he himself is not gay, that um he just do whatever for cash. And then Kevin was like, no, you must be bisexual then. And he was like, no, I'm not bisexual. I'm cash sexual. I'm cash sexual. And he said it's whatever the cash will pay him for. And he said that goes for women and men. So yeah, you're bisexual, Q, and you just a straight up trick. That's all you are. You're a trick for men and for women. That's what that is. So Q even asked Kevin if he would like him to do anything for him. And Kevin's like, what? No. Because Kevin's like, he's portraying that he's all into women, but there's like different things that he like to try to do. I don't know. He like to try to do a lot of things that would be considered gay. And that's why Sabrina don't even want to deal with him. So anyway, Q's like, ever since he heard what went down with Sabrina and Kevin and the way that Kevin acts, he was like, okay, well, maybe I could do a few things for him or whatever. So it goes off like that, where Kevin and Q are on the sofa talking, and Kevin's trying to figure out what the heck Q is talking about. But then we see a preview. They show a preview of the next episode where Maurice finally comes home. And as soon as Maurice opened the door, he starts screaming. So I don't know if he's walking into the bedroom or something and he see Q and Kevin doing something, but it shows where he's screaming. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen in the next episode. Then we also see where Zach is being told that he's not going to get a bail because due to his previous arrest that was regarding the child support, he's been put back on probation. So, man, Zach, he's catching it again. And so we have this whole little thing with Zach catching it. And I hope he doesn't lose his fortune that he won from the stock. And he also finished his home. So I hope he doesn't lose his home and all that stuff. It's like really crazy. He finished his home and he hasn't even had a chance to spend a night in his house with Fatima. And that's what he wants to do. And then we also see where Crazy Gary is in his office and he's looking through a telescope. So we saw that Andy had the penthouse swept for any type of wiretaps and any type of cameras, and the stripper guy that does tech on the side didn't find anything. But the next episode, we're going to see Crazy Gary in his office with a long behind telescope looking at something. So it's like, okay, is this fool office across the street from Andy's apartment complex or her penthouse and he can see directly into the penthouse? Strange. So he's doing something weird. Gary is weird. All right, so that was Tyler Perry's Sisters, Season 4, Episode 16, Look Closely. I don't know why that's called Look Closely, because it looked like Gary's going to be looking closely next week with that long-ass telescope he has in his office. All right, but overall, this is a really good episode. Still have my attention, Tyler Perry. I think it's something worth tuning in. And I want to say thank you guys so much for checking out my channel. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you would please like, and you're always welcome to leave a comment. Be good to yourself and also to others. Thank you. Bye.